Welcome to Streaming News Network by Claude McDaniel. News without the hype and biased reporting. Please like and subscribe.
This is Claude McDaniel with Streaming News Network. Russian President Vladimir Putin says the war between Russia and Ukraine could finally be nearing its conclusion as both nations enter a temporary ceasefire period. Speaking to reporters on Saturday, Putin said he believes the conflict may be coming to an end after years of intense fighting between the neighboring countries. Russia launched its full-scale invasion of Ukraine in February of 2024, and the war has continued for more than 4 years. President Donald Trump has pushed for an end to the conflict since returning to office in January of 2025. Trump has repeatedly argued that the war would not have started had he remained president at the time. On Friday, Trump announced that a temporary ceasefire agreement had been reached ahead of Russia's annual Victory Day celebrations, which commemorate the Soviet Union's defeat of Nazi Germany during World War II. While the ceasefire is only expected to last a short time, Trump expressed optimism that it could mark a turning point toward ending what he described as one of the deadliest conflicts in modern history. This is Streaming News Network. Emergency crews in Tennessee continue monitoring the aftermath of a massive factory fire that burned for more than 24 hours at a plastics recycling facility in the town of Henry. Officials say the fire began around 10:45 Friday morning at the Sigma Renew 360 plant, sending thick black smoke high into the air and prompting authorities to issue shelter-in-place warnings for nearby residents. Emergency management officials warned that smoke from the blaze could linger across the surrounding area for at least 24 hours, raising concerns about possible air quality problems. Residents were urged to avoid the area as firefighters worked to bring the flames under control. At one point, officials feared the fire could take several days to extinguish. Crews from approximately 20 agencies outside Henry County responded to assist local firefighters in containing the massive blaze. By late Friday afternoon, emergency officials reported that the fire was nearly extinguished. Authorities say the site will now be turned over to an environmental cleanup team for further assessment. The cause of the fire remains under investigation, and damage estimates have not yet been released. This is Streaming News Network. Authorities in South Carolina say 3 people are now in custody following a shooting inside a Publix grocery store in the Cane Bay area of Berkeley County. According to Berkeley County Sheriff Dwayne Lewis, the incident was a targeted attack and not an active shooter situation. Investigators say 3 suspects entered the store and targeted a specific individual while inside the supermarket. The intended victim was shot twice and rushed into surgery. Officials say 2 other people suffered minor gunshot wounds during the incident. Deputies responded to the Publix store on State Road shortly after the shooting was reported. A large law enforcement presence remained at the scene for several hours as investigators gathered evidence and interviewed witnesses. Sheriff Lewis emphasized that there is no ongoing threat to the public now that all suspects have been detained. Residents were initially advised to avoid the area and use alternate routes while authorities secured the scene and conducted their investigation. The identities of those involved and a possible motive have not yet been released. This is Streaming News Network. Iran says it has formally responded to the latest United States ceasefire proposal through Pakistani mediators, signaling that Tehran wants negotiations focused on permanently ending the war across the region. Iranian state media reported Sunday that the government is seeking a broader agreement that would end fighting not only with the United States and Israel, but also tensions involving allied groups in Lebanon and throughout the Middle East. Iran is also demanding guarantees for the security of international shipping routes, including the strategically vital Strait of Hormuz. The White House has not publicly commented on Iran's response. However, U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations Mike Waltz said President Donald Trump is still giving diplomacy every possible chance before considering renewed military action. Meanwhile, tensions remain high despite the fragile ceasefire. Officials in Qatar, Kuwait, and the United Arab Emirates reported drone activity across the region Sunday, including an attack that caused a small fire aboard a commercial vessel near Qatar. No casualties were reported. Iran has also warned it is on full readiness to defend its nuclear facilities as negotiations continue over Tehran's enriched uranium stockpile and the future of its nuclear program. This is Streaming News Network. 6 people have been arrested following a major undercover operation targeting suspected online predators in Florida's Martin County. The 3-day sting concluded May 7 at a home in Stuart that investigators say was equipped with hidden audio and video surveillance. Martin County Sheriff John Budenseek said deputies posed online as children under the age of 14 across multiple digital platforms. According to investigators, the suspects allegedly engaged in explicit online conversations before traveling to the home believing they would meet a minor for sex. Joining the operation was Chris Hansen, best known for the television series To Catch a Predator. Hansen said online exploitation has expanded dramatically in recent years, with predators now using gaming and social media platforms to target children. Authorities say the suspects ranged in age from 19 to 36 and came from several counties across South Florida. Investigators also revealed one suspect allegedly arrived armed with a handgun. Sheriff Budenseek urged parents to closely monitor their children's online activity as summer vacation begins and more young people spend time at home alone. Hansen also encouraged parents to maintain open communication with their children about online dangers and to report suspicious activity to law enforcement immediately. This is Streaming News Network. Residents in Fayetteville, Georgia are raising concerns after discovering a massive data center used nearly 30 million gallons of water before the utility system realized the company was not being properly billed. The controversy centers around a facility operated by Quality Technology Services, also known as QTS, located about 20 miles south of Atlanta. Neighbors first became suspicious last year after noticing unusually low water pressure in nearby residential communities. County investigators later discovered two large-scale water connections feeding the data center campus. Officials say one hookup had been installed without the utility's knowledge, while another connection was not properly tied to the company's account. According to county records, the company ultimately paid nearly $150,000 in retroactive charges for more than 29 million gallons of unaccounted-for water, the equivalent of roughly 44 Olympic-sized swimming pools. The facility is part of one of the nation's largest data center developments, spanning more than 600 acres with plans for up to 16 buildings. Residents have since voiced frustration over the project's enormous demand for water and electricity, especially as parts of Georgia continue facing drought conditions and wildfire concerns. Local officials say no penalties or fines were issued against the company beyond the back payment, a decision that has fueled additional backlash from community members. This is Streaming News Network. Authorities in Colorado are investigating allegations of abuse involving an assistant teacher employed within the Littleton public school system. According to investigators, the staff member is accused of abusing a young boy with autism while working at the school. Officials also say additional students may have been harmed, with some reportedly suffering serious injuries including fractures and the loss of a tooth. Details surrounding the incidents remain limited as the investigation continues, and authorities have not yet released the full scope of the allegations or the ages of the victims involved. School officials say they are cooperating fully with law enforcement as investigators work to determine exactly what occurred and whether additional charges could follow. The case has raised concerns among parents and community members about student safety and protections for children with special needs within the school system. No further information about the suspect or possible court proceedings has yet been released. This is Streaming News Network. One of America's most recognizable brands is officially leaving Illinois after nearly 176 years. Morton Salt, famous for its iconic umbrella-carrying Salt Girl and the slogan, "When it rains, it pours," has relocated its corporate headquarters from Chicago to Overland Park, Kansas. The move became official in late 2024 when the company signed a major lease for office space in the Kansas City area. The relocation marks the end of a historic era for a company founded in 1848 that grew alongside Chicago itself. Company officials say the decision was driven largely by economic factors, including lower operating costs and a more business-friendly environment in Kansas. Illinois currently has one of the nation's highest corporate tax burdens, along with rising property and regulatory costs. The move has reignited debate over Illinois' business climate as several major corporations, including Boeing, Caterpillar, and Citadel, have also relocated headquarters out of the state in recent years. Critics warn the departures could have long-term economic consequences for Illinois communities, including lost jobs and reduced business activity for local restaurants, shops, and service providers. Meanwhile, Morton Salt is expanding its presence in the Kansas City region through new business partnerships and sponsorship deals, signaling a major new chapter for the historic American company. Wildlife conservationist Robert Irwin is sharing details of a frightening encounter with a massive crocodile during field research in Australia. Appearing on The Tonight Show, Irwin revealed he was briefly caught in a dangerous death roll by a 14-foot crocodile he had named after host Jimmy Fallon years earlier when the reptile was still small. Irwin explained that conservation teams sometimes physically restrain crocodiles in the wild as part of research and tracking efforts aimed at protecting the species. But during one encounter, the now fully grown crocodile rolled on top of him, pinning him underneath hundreds of pounds of reptile. According to Irwin, his arm was trapped beneath the animal before the crocodile rolled back in the opposite direction, allowing him to escape unharmed. Robert Irwin is the son of legendary wildlife expert Steve Irwin, widely known around the world as the Crocodile Hunter. Steve Irwin died in 2006 after suffering a fatal stingray injury while filming a documentary on the Great Barrier Reef. Today, Robert continues his father's conservation legacy through wildlife education and animal research across Australia. This has been a report by Claude McDaniel of Streaming News Network.
Thank you for listening to Streaming News Network videos and shorts. Please like and subscribe to our news channel.